Hey guys, this is Dan with Kick@55 Fitness, and today we are talking about have you hit a weight loss plateau and what to do about it. Remember, if you like this video, to click the thumbs up like button. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and click push notifications so you can stay up to date with all our current nutrition talks. Have you hit a weight loss plateau? Well, I'm going to tell you today how we can get you past that. First off, let's talk about how do we know if we've reached a weight loss plateau. Essentially, what we're looking for is about 7 to 14 days, 1 to 2 weeks of our body is no longer making the changes that we have been making while eating at a certain type of diet. So what we're looking for is either you have not made the gains or even your body is going to start digressing. So you can maybe just stay at the same weight that you're at, but you can also start to gain weight and lose all that progress you've made. And that is how we know if we have hit a plateau. So let's talk about and discuss what is an actual plateau. Essentially what's happening is our body, we have been working, we have been eating a certain diet and it has been working for us, but now our body has gotten used to this diet. And what we want to focus on is now that our body is used to the diet and we've gotten comfortable in this diet, we now are in a homeostasis. So typically homeostasis can be with dieting, eating, sleeping. Today we're just going to talk about the diet part of it. So when we are in a homeostasis, our body is in a comfortable metabolism, and the metabolism doesn't have to work as hard as it was when we first started the diet. And this is why we are no longer making our gains like we were initially with this diet. So what we have to do when we have this body in our homeostasis and we've hit this plateau is we have to shock the body. The body is once again comfortable, and what we have to do is now give it a new perceived threat so the body can start all over again. We're either shocking it neurologically or physiologically, and the body is now in a shocked state, which will then put it in that perceived threat and then have to fight again to now burn either more or kind of continue on our weight loss journey. So I'm going to give you 4 different examples of we are eating a certain diet, it's no longer working for us, and what to do with it next. The first one we're going to talk about is our moderate glycemic diet. The idea that we are eating about 5 to 6 meals at a moderate carbohydrate and a moderate glycemic index. With foods like that, our body is staying in this comfortable, moderate glycemic insulin production instead of spiking and then going down. So let's say I've been doing this for a month, I've lost 10 to 15 pounds, I'm feeling great, but now it's been 2 weeks, my workouts aren't getting better, I'm not losing any more weight. How do we now get our body to get that last 10 to 15 pounds that we want to lose? From this situation in our moderate glycemic carbohydrate index diet, we are going to now go to the ketogenic dieting. So instead of having moderate carbohydrates, we're going to go to very, very low to minimal carbohydrates, increase our fat intake, and have a little bit more into a moderate protein intake. That will shock our body, that will trick our body into start burning fat more often now because it is, again, sensing that threat, something is now different in our body, and we have to be able to fight that, and that's how we lose that weight. Another option you can do if you don't like ketogenic dieting to go from the moderate glycemic, try intermittent fasting. So the idea is we will shorten our fasted, or we will lengthen our fasted window. So we're going to be eating in a smaller amount of time, but again, we're shocking our body. And if you want more information in our intermittent fasting, you can go to my other talk. Today we're going to stick a little more basic on it, but you can go in depth later on. So we have these 2 options going from moderate glycemic to either keto or to intermittent fasting. That's going to be our first example. Example number 2, let's say we have been doing ketogenic dieting for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and we were doing great. We lost all this, or even more than a month, right? So we're doing great. We've lost a lot of weight. We're feeling cut. We've burnt a lot of fat. But again, now I've hit this plateau. Well, what are we going to do? The first thing that I would go to is go from a ketogenic dieting down to an intermittent fasting dieting. Now you can keep, if you like keto and you like the idea that I'm not eating a lot of carbohydrates, you can stay in ketogenic and go to intermittent fasting. That is how we're going to now make that next gain. We can also go back and start eating carbohydrates if you want, because now we're doing intermittent fasting. We're still in a fat burning phase. And again, like I said, for more information on intermittent fasting, you can go check my other video out. So let's talk about example number 3 now. Let's say we've been intermittent fasting for 2 months or longer. It worked really, really great. But now we're at that plateau. I'm no longer making the gains. I'm no longer losing the weight. So what can we do? There's a couple options when it comes to intermittent fasting. The first thing that we can do is delay our fast. So if we're doing a 16 and 8 intermittent fast window, we can just go a little bit longer, maybe another extra hour where we're not eating. That will kind of restart our body. That will go into more autophagy. That'll go into more fat burning and HGH production. Let's say, well, I don't really want to change. I don't really want to eat in a lesser window. I'm comfortable with the 8 hours. What can we do from here? We can actually go from intermittent fasting to the moderate glycemic diet. It seems almost counterintuitive, but remember, we are shocking the body. And when we shock the body physiologically, neurologically, what's going to end up happening is we're going to get those nice metabolic changes, regardless of the diet that we're going to or from. And finally, if you are in intermittent fasting, and I've been eating a lot of carbs throughout intermittent fasting because it works, you can even try to go from moderate carbs or high carbs in an intermittent fasted state to a ketogenic diet in an intermittent fasted state. And like we talked about, now we're going to get that increased fat burning. So the last example I'm going to give you today is, let's say we are, we don't want to go into a different diet. We don't want to be too strict. We're comfortable where we're at. Here's a nice, easy trick we can do. It's called daily undulating. And what that means is that we are changing our diet on a daily basis. Now, this isn't going to be for a year long. We're just going for a couple weeks so we can try and reshock our body. And then if you like the diet you were originally using and you want to go back to it, now once we go back to it, our body will start again and kind of begin to feel a new perceived threat, even though we got used to it back in the day. With daily undulating, you can go from, we have 1 day of moderate carbohydrates, then we have 1 day of very low carbohydrates, and maybe we have 1 day where we eat very high carbohydrates. Really what we're trying to do is just throw different stimuli at our body. And when we throw different stimuli at our body, it's going to be forced to have to work harder because it is not used to being comfortable in that plateau. So I gave you guys 4 good examples of what you can do when you've hit this weight loss plateau from our diet. Now we can go into later on in another talk about how we can change our exercise routine or our sleep routine. For now, we're just sticking with the diet. Now, if you have any further questions, you can go into our other talks. I have a ketogenic talk and intermittent fasting talk if you'd like to get more information on those as well. But to summarize all over again, you've hit this weight loss plateau. You were so proud of yourself. You were doing great for months or weeks, and now we're not making those gains anymore. The goal is we have to make a change. So whatever diet it is that you want to, we have to get you comfortable saying, well, it's not working for me anymore. Let's change it up a little bit, maybe for a week, maybe for 2 weeks, maybe for a month. And then if you really like it, you can go back to your diet. Remember, plateaus are going to happen in our body. It is very common. Our body wants to stay in homeostasis because that's where it's most comfortable. The idea of continuously changing it up on us is what's going to get us those gains, those further weight loss gains later on. Thank you guys so much for joining my nutrition talk on have you hit a plateau and what to do. Remember, if you liked this video, to click the thumbs up like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the push notification so you can stay up to date with all our current nutrition talks. You can also follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And if you want to go further into my nutrition talks, go check out my Ketogenic Diet. See you next time.
Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on push notifications so you know when our next workout posts.